very interesting day today. You guys probably do. By now, you should understand what happened with the pulse early this morning. If we can say that some of the activity today was a result of some of the energy, the influx of energy that came in, we're in for a ride in the next, from this coming Tuesday forward, we're in for a ride. This pulse came through in comparison with the rest by way of measurements. It's a baby pulse, so it's a very tiny, little insignificant pulse that came through, but it's a red band pulse, which means the other pulses were like big, huge, like the water rising all over the earth, right? Nobody can really notice. You just tend to deal with your environment. But a tsunami is a different type of circumstance that you have to, type of element you have to deal with. And because it hits all at once and it rises and falls very abruptly, damage is the result of those things. Well, this pulse that came through was a radiation burst full of gamma rays, but I'm shocked that some of the spectrum optics didn't reflect that on most of what you guys see on the internet. Now, two of them did. I'm not sure if you guys use these or not, but they most certainly did reflect some of these pulses. I'm mentioning this, guys, and I want you guys to do your own homework behind this, because the more eyes we have on these pulses concerning what the cause and effect is, better. In fact, it is my personal responsibility to disclose to you many aspects and properties of these pulses so you truly understand them. Those of you who track data, devices, measurements, and so on and so forth. Once you guys understand this, you can actually, you'll be a great asset when it comes to COT. Now, we can put the whole picture together. Having radiation readings will not give you the whole story, because you're looking at velocities. You're also looking at other dynamics that take place in celestial mechanics that aren't quite public. They're peer-reviewed. So it's in, if you understand that, you can really dig it out. But you're dealing with so many forces that some of the calculations are quite overwhelming, and it takes a computer to figure that out. However, I will share with you guys as much as I can muster to give out to you, so that we can all have that input, and you guys can apply your wisdom to some of these waves as they come in. This pulse, this red band pulse, which came in, if we could say that it was responsible for some of the damage and activity that we had geologically in the last, 24 hours, then we're in for a doozy, because 30 plus more pulses are on the way. These are all red band pulses. I don't see them shifting up or down in relation to the Earth. They're going to smack us right on the rim. And so that's not good, because the Earth can't distribute that power that fast. If it were to hit in the north or south poles, the Earth could absorb it and eject it, and that would strengthen our Van Allen belts. Unfortunately, this pierced the Van Allen belts. It was like a bullet hitting us. And again, it's a red band pulse, so we have to deal with 30 plus more of those. This one, in comparison, was quite small. Some of the other ones are about 500 to 2,500 times greater than this pulse in regards to energy. One of them has quite a few people concerned, quite a few governments concerned. So it's going to turn to one of those enigmatic subjects to a very deadly subject fairly quickly. So from this Tuesday forward, this coming Tuesday forward, we're going to be watching those very closely, because this week coming up, we have two pulses back to back that will smack us. And then, of course, we have some more coming through. We're going to plot those two as best we can. That changes every 72 hours. As you get a stronger reading on some of the radiation emissions, you can then simulate and calculate time elements as to when it's going to hit. So it's always going to be 2 or 3 hours, plus or minus the actual impact time. But we'll do our best. Having said that, we've also had some disturbances on the Earth, radio-wise, some radio disturbances, signal disturbances. No doubt this has messed with quite a few people as far as your feelings. Every time this happens, people get into a fog. Anybody been into a fog here lately? Because every time these waves come through, of course, you respond just like the Earth does. Your body, being made of the elements of the Earth, you're affected the same way, especially metals like gold and silver. These are highly conductive materials that are also in the body. And, of course, you're going to be affected by, certain high-speed particles in their residue as they pass right through you. So That will be interesting to know how many of you had a type of fog going on today. It's almost like you were reluctant to do anything, on nervousness, a little bit of anxiety, and trepidation in doing just normal things. That often happens by way of the mind. Once you have this influx of radiation, these are natural. You start interpreting. You will interpret your body chemistry this way. But nevertheless, we did entertain it. And it did do a few, weird things to radio equipment, things of that nature, which, by the way, is surprising because that's something that was skipped or many people really didn't count on. But they are watching now. It's actually getting their attention, especially since we have 30 plus more on the way. I can only imagine what will happen. There's no definitive proof as far as what could take place. Now, this morning or today, in the last 24 hours, were some very strange events. Yes, that did happen. And, of course, it affects magma, which in turn affects earthquakes and volcanism on this planet. But we can expect that frequency of eruptions to rise. If we don't have relief points in the earth right away, we're going to be in trouble because the earth is building up entirely too much pressure. And certain parts of the earth that held water are now evacuated of that water, now holding magma itself. So it's very close to the surface. In fact, there are some images of roads melting in places where they should not melt because there's no volcanoes around these areas. And some of those images are quite disturbing, especially when you find out where they are.